Hello, this is Storybooks channel. New videos are posted every day. Subscribe and click the bell.
Oh, I'm finally going to see my daughter's future husband today. It's been so long since she's brought him to meet him. I'm starting to worry. Told Cindy over a cup of tea from her good old friend Miranda. Yes, well, what are you happy about? Miranda wrung her hands. She's still very young. 19 years old. Why would she get married so young? Cooking, laundry, cleaning, diapers to go. And she's a rare beauty. She won first place in the local beauty pageant. She could go to New York. Do you want to lock her up in a terem with her young dolls and kids and sit around? No, Miranda, you're wrong now. We have a complicated fiancé. My daughter will have all this help, and she will manage the house to travel, can travel, what business will open, if the husband will help. In general, not life, but a fairy tale. Not like I had at her age, only studies. Yes, a job. You wish. Where did Miranda get such a fiancé in our backwater? We have nothing but poverty. And those who are sons of the rich, they want New York brides. They're not interested in someone like Emily. No, they're not. You're wrong. Well, I mean, I'm right, but not entirely. This guy was just visiting us from New York on some business of his own. When he saw our daughter, he fell in love with her. Now he's temporarily moved to our town. Couldn't live a day without her and is New York. And who is he? At least you know who his parents are and what he does for a living. Maybe a gangster or something. It's a time like this, you gotta keep your eyes open. You can't trust anyone. Oh, come on. He's just screwing himself and me over. What gangster? A handsome young man. Oh, Emily told me so much about him, the way she described him. He's rich as hell. Asked her out on dates. Every time he picks her up in his black late model BMW. What kind of guy can you imagine? In this neck of the woods, of course, there's only a handful of them. They're not our type. How old is he? 25. He owns a small retail chain in New York. Something to do with the internet business. I haven't really looked into it. Emily will tell you later. So what? He's gonna put her in jail. He's gonna sit at home and forge. No career, no prospects. He owns all the money. And then in 15 years, he'll dump her. He'll find a younger woman. We know how these majors are. You'd better send her to New York to study. And our contest won not only honor and glory, but also a cash prize. Let her go to work, find a job, study there, go in a year. And then the future won't be so foggy. But you understand. She needs to get married and get her personal life settled as soon as possible. While she's young, yes, fresh, then what? Well, even if she graduates somewhere and gets a job, you know how hard it is to get anything without money and connections. Besides, she's a woman. I've achieved a lot in my accountant's office, but I've been sitting in this room for a penny, and nothing in my life has changed. Nothing at all. And nature will take its course anyway, sooner or later. Well, she gets mixed up with some husband plan to get knocked up by him, and then a lifetime of children to raise. I know what that's like, and I wouldn't wish that kind of slippery life on my girl. Cindy was sure that marriage solved all her problems. She herself was never able to build a family happiness. She married for love, not for convenience. She didn't even know those words back then. The husband was the most ordinary working man. Oh, on weekdays he went to work. And on weekends he drank and went out with friends in the family, gave part of his salary and part heroically pierced. That's how they lived for 10 years. Poorly, but with a man was a little easier than with all that alone Cindy tolerated. And even when one day he dared to raise his hand against her, she didn't leave. There was nowhere to go, and one with children on that meager salary, which she received, cannot live. Her husband left this world as heroically as he lived. Returning drunk from another country party with friends, he was hit by a car. Cindy grieved, but not for long. When she told Emily that her father had died, it was as if she wasn't even upset, but overjoyed. It was truly frightening when the 10-year-old daughter, with an innocent smile on her face in response to the news of her dad's death, said, "May the earth rest on his head." It sounded so mature and so indifferent that Cindy did not even believe that a child of such an age could react to the death of a loved one. She put it down to shock, But as time went on, sadness never appeared in Emily's eyes. At the wake, she always sat quietly, but you could tell she wasn't the least bit upset. And the poor thing was left behind. How now without the head of the family, without tribe? Started wailing on the anniversary of the acquaintance of his father, putting his hand on Emily's shoulder and pretending that he pities her. Who will caress you in a fatherly way now? The drunken man continued, and Emily gently removed his hand from her shoulder and ran off to her room. The man responded to Cindy's request to behave properly and not molest the child with rudeness and mate. She did not gather any more wakes at her home, and over time, her husband's friends and acquaintances stopped even calling. And thank God, they don't want them kicking her around. She thought to herself, you shouldn't have taken the child away from his school friends. Miranda persuaded her friend. So there would always be someone to help around the house. A man's hand will always come in handy. And I don't need any more of these drunks around here. I've got a girl growing up. You never know. Oh, God forbid. Cindy's stern response to all such invectives. What are you talking about? What were you thinking? Men, they're all our local men. Who's got your little Emily? Oh, I can't believe you're making me laugh, my friend. She didn't. You know how many cases? No, I don't. Alex is dead, and I'll be fine with it. But no more beatings in my house. You know what I mean. So there's no one you can ask for help if you need it. Look, if anything, I'll just call a handyman, but I'll lose money. At least I won't have to put up with a hammered nail all night. And anyway, why are you so attached? You live without a husband all your life, and it's okay to live there not with some left-handed men. The subject is closed. Miranda was always marveling at how much of a temper Cindy had. They even had a big fight about it once. Ringo, did you ever think about Alex getting drunk because of you? Miranda asked her friend. Why did you get married when he was a perfectly normal man? Yeah, he had a few drinks on occasion. But all men drink, and we women do it too. It can't be helped. Our soul is so broad and requires a merry holiday. But you're crazy, my friend. What are you saying? Are you saying I'm getting him drunk? That's not what I meant at all. Of course you're not getting him drunk. But to put it mildly, you're putting psychological pressure on him. Well, yourself, you have to admit. You're the one who's always pushing him around. Everything's wrong with you. Everything's wrong with you. He doesn't make enough money, doesn't help with the household. What kind of man can withstand such criticism? And he can live with such dislike. Think about it. Yes, of course I'm right. It's also my fault that he drinks like a cobbler every day. Thank you, my friend. I didn't expect that from you. Well, there's no offense to the truth. Miranda's got her hands full. You think about what I said. Or your daughter. Looking at your motherly example, she'll grow up the same way. She will have only problems in her personal life. She won't be able to get along with anyone. Then you'll realize I was right. You're one to talk. You're the one with the most unbearable temperament. My dear friend, that's why you live alone. It's a challenge to put up with you. I'm fine on my own. I love freedom and independence. And I don't pretend to have a relationship with a man. I don't need one. I have enough money for myself. I have enough. Why should I make trouble for myself? Cindy realized that her friend was right, but only the children who had to be fed, clothed, and clothed. Natalia never had any. That's why she didn't have any problems because of her husband's absence. A man in the family is some kind of a man, but still an extra penny, without which it is very difficult to live with children. But Natalia doesn't understand that. She's a different kind of person. She would have all the work freedom to sit down with girlfriends, not to family problems. Over time, Cindy began to take her advice more easily. They didn't hurt her friends anymore. They had not ceased to be, but Cindy tried to avoid discussing family issues. After Alex's death, they had fallen by the wayside. Only once, right after the funeral, Miranda asked Cindy, "How will you carry your ballast alone now? What are you going to do?" "You know nothing." Cindy answered calmly, "My money will be enough for food and modest clothes. Let her earn the rest when she grows up." Fair enough, Miranda. We weren't spoiled as children. And we shouldn't spoil our children either. That's right. And now everything is served to them on a silver platter. and they only hang around somewhere and do nothing. Let her study, get an education, get on her feet, stand up, and earn her own money. But Cindy had other plans. She never wanted her daughter to follow the standard and hard path. Schooling, education, work. Get up, you won't lift yourself up, but strength. You'll waste a little time. Sentenced her every day when Emily came home and sat down to read another book. Enough reading. You've done your homework and that's enough. Let's make a model of ourselves. Cindy noticed right away that her daughter was growing up to be very pretty. No other girl in her class, or in the whole school, had such long silky hair, plump lips, big eyes, and long eyelashes. She took pictures of Emily all the time and sent them to local magazines where other parents sent pictures of their children. How did you come up with that? Miranda was outraged when she found out what Cindy was doing. They're all magazines where all the pimps work. Your girl will swear to them. They'll invite her to do some commercial, and then they'll steal her whistles. You'll know. Jesus, Miranda, what's going on in your head? You can't think so badly of people. Not everyone is so spoiled. And I'm not the only one who sends pictures there. You think Emily's the only one who's so beautiful. There's plenty of girls out there prettier than her. Well, if it's a small, ghostly chance to make a name for yourself, why not? You're a fool, Cindy. Girls, you should study to get an education, not aspire to be a model. What kind of job is that? You need them until you're 30, and then everyone throws them in the trash like the trash that gets in the way. And then what? Then they get married. What else? All the wealthy men marry models. When she grows up, get to know the elite of our city, and then she'll find a husband. And when she marries, her husband will take care of all the expenses. My girl won't have to think about anything at all. Isn't that what every mother dreams of? It's all nonsense. Education will feed her all her life. And this modeling thing you're doing, come on. But Cindy persevered. And when Emily turned 16, she got her first call to star in a local shampoo commercial. How beautiful is your daughter? What gorgeous hair? Here, sign the contract. It's all spelled out, and the amount of the fee and the terms of work. Operator manager. When Cindy together with Emily arrived at the specified address. The shoot lasts 2 days and starts at 10 a.m. and ends at 7 p.m. Can we eat? No takeout. We have an on-site canteen. Cindy was overjoyed. Her daughter had starred in a local shampoo commercial, and now she'd be on TV. The first wave of popularity struck the young girl along with her mom literally by surprise. After the release of advertising on Emily, more and more often began to pay attention to classmates. They gave her flowers, candy, other trinkets. They asked her out on dates. Is that right? No, Emily. Absolutely not. You shouldn't be hanging out with those low-life thugs. Cindy sternly urged her daughter when she found out she was going on a date with a classmate. Who are this guy's parents? They're simple laborers. Mom's a saleswoman, Dad's a locksmith. He's definitely not a match for you. Wait till you're in a few more commercials. You'll be a star, and other men will start hanging around you. How will you finish school? And you can keep looking for suitors until you're old enough. Until she finally rebelled. Mom, but I'm an adult. The girl was indignant. That I cannot go to the movies or to a cafe with a young man. Who is this young man? Where is he from? With her usual stern curiosity, asked Cindy. Who's been after you since high school? No, Mom, calm down. He's exactly the kind of man you want around me. He's out of town, respectable, rich. He drives an expensive car. He owns his own business in New York. He's here on business. He saw my pictures in an internet magazine, fell in love, and as soon as he found out he was coming to my hometown, he made it his mission to meet me. You're pretty. Yeah, and where did you two meet? I went to a coffee shop for coffee. He saw me through the glass and came in to keep me company. It's really romantic. We're going to the movies tonight. Don't let him do too much, or he'll ask for help and then leave you. We know these foreign Muscovites. They have only one thing on their mind. Mom, calm down. It's our first date. I don't think he has something like that in mind. But even if he does, I won't mind. I'll show you she won't mind. She'll only get you when she's married and no more. But Deep down, Emily had always laughed at her mom's controlling ways. She understood that Cindy wanted what was best. And she didn't even have any thoughts of crossing her. She wasn't going to tie her fate to a ragamuffin beggar. There was a reason she'd been working on herself since she was a teenager. Certainly not to be wanted by some local locksmith's son. And she stayed in that swamp for the rest of her life, penny to penny, with a baby in her arms. No, that'll never happen. She has her mother's bitter experience before her eyes. It wouldn't happen to her. Andrew was a charming young man. 3 months into their relationship, he proposed to Emily. The proposal came with a diamond ring. And we are not in too much of a hurry. The girl asked incredulously when Andrew got down on his knee in the most expensive local restaurant, where he invited her specially for the occasion. "You're not sure about something." "Maybe it's me," he answered sadly. "No, it's not that. It's just that nowadays young people don't propose to girls so quickly. You have to meet each other first, get to know each other better. Some of them even live together. You see, I'm old-fashioned. I want to go straight to Venice and have a big wedding with all the traditions." "Well, you know what I mean, so you'll do it." Of course she was. There was nothing to think about. Young men like her were not to be messed with, and Emily understood that. Young, handsome, and rich. She was sure that as soon as they got married, and she would give him a bunch of children. In the first few years of their life together, he would be tied to her once and for all. What man doesn't dream of a submissive wife and a big family, especially one so rich and successful? And I also believe that all decisions in the family should be made by a man. Emily continued, talking about family life after agreeing to get married. "I want me and our future children to be under your protection, that you will be responsible for everything that happens in our family. And I will obey you in everything, help and support you. I love you very much," with a smile on his face, he said. And that's when he kissed her for the first time. It was extraordinary. He never once regretted that he had dared to do it. It was worth it. I guess everything else is still magical. He thought to himself, I should meet my mom. She asks who I'm dating. What kind of person? Is she worried? We're getting married and she hasn't even met you yet. Yeah, I get it. Let me organize a dinner at some cafe. No, why don't you come to our house? Well, we'll have a family after all. You're our future in-laws. Let me make a date with my mom for tomorrow. She'll cook something delicious. We'll sit down, get to know each other, talk. Okay, I'll be there at 7 o'clock tomorrow, but I'll have to leave around 10 o'clock. I have a very important appointment. What kind of meeting at such a late hour, if it's not a secret? Andrew laughed. You're already jealous before you become my wife. Don't worry, baby. It's a meeting with a business partner. It's just his routine. He sleeps till lunchtime, and in the evening he takes care of business. He's a weird guy, but he's very useful to my business. That's great. And this weird guy's gonna be at our wedding. I want you to meet him. I will. Emily arrived home that day over the moon. Mom, can you believe it? He proposed to me. Mommy, I'm getting married. I'm so happy. The girl flew around the apartment with a happy smile on her face. Emily, what about contracts? After winning the local beauty contest, didn't they offer you anything? Cindy asked, surprised. Mom, you don't know what you're talking about. To hell with this career, I need to get married now that I'm going to get married. You start dripping on my brain with some contracts. I don't understand you. Make up your mind. One doesn't preclude the other. If something was offered, you could work for a while after the wedding, and then have an active family life, kids. I don't see anything wrong with that. No, we haven't offered anything yet. I don't care about the contracts. I'm so happy. Emily threw herself on her mother's neck and hugged her. She, too, was very happy that her daughter had met a worthy young man who would be able to provide for the rest of her life at the highest level. They both did not yet know what lay ahead of them. And even in the worst dream, they could not imagine what they would have to endure because of this wedding, which made no sense neither for Emily nor for her mother, as it did not coincide with their real desires and goals. But they didn't know that at the time. Did you and your parents and I ever meet in New York? Emily asked Cindy after dinner. By the way, how did you like my mom? But she's not my fiancée for me to like, Andrew joked. She's a nice, kind woman. I think we'll get in. But even if we don't, what do we care? We're going to New York right after the wedding. Yeah, but we'll celebrate the wedding here. We had a deal. Yeah, of course we did. I know your mom doesn't want to go to New York. It's all for you. Sweet Emily hugged Andrew and kissed him. Okay, Emily, I gotta go now. I'll call you later. Yeah, sure. Emily said goodbye to Andrew and went back to the apartment. Thank God it was over so quickly. He thought to himself, he was terribly late today. So, without waiting for the elevator, ran down the stairs, got into the car, and left. What did you think of him? Emily asked Cindy. He's okay. He's cute. And it's obvious he's madly in love with you. That's the most important thing. What kind of watch does he wear? What kind of suit? Shoes. You can't tell. Yeah, Mom, I told you. You didn't believe me. Okay, I take it back. What's up? It's time to get ready for the wedding, Cindy said cheerfully. She took a great liking to Andrew. He aroused absolutely no suspicion in her mind. Just the kind of husband she dreamed of for her daughter. Don't let him get away. Once you get married and start living together, behave yourself. This is your big chance. Hold on to it. Mom, why are you treating me like a little girl? Emily resented you. Do you think I'm stupid? I don't understand anything. I know perfectly well that guys like Andrew are not on the road. I'm going to blow the dust off him. That's right. Well, go and try on the dress. My beautiful girl. Just remember we're going to the wedding separately from Andrew. The groom mustn't see the bride in a suspended dress before the wedding. It's bad luck. I remember, Mom, I warned Andrew. He said he'd call us a wedding limo. The days flew by in a flash. Emily couldn't think about anything but her upcoming wedding. Oh, sweetie, what about maid of honor? You haven't had a single friend since high school. And the witnesses? Cindy was worried. Mom, why are you so worried? I invited Nancy and Max to be witnesses. Emily jokingly replied. And from the groom's side did not calm down Cindy. And the groom's side will have guests. I think Andrew will have a friend who will gladly agree to be a witness. And if he doesn't, Max will be the witness. Mom, you're thinking about the wrong thing. Stop focusing on all this nonsense. This was going to be the happiest day of his life. Ever since Andrew first saw Emily, he couldn't think of anything else. She is so beautiful, bright, extraordinary, unearthly. For her sake, he was ready for absolutely everything, even the most blatant madness. From time to time, he forgot that he wasn't him at all, and that someday he would have to tell her the truth. But he was so sure of her love that he never doubted it for a second. She would understand and forgive him. Looking at Andrew's phone screen, he saw the traitorous text message. Damn it, how annoying are they with these reminders? It's like I don't know what I need to pay myself, he thought to himself and got really angry. Andrew, what's the matter? I told you to turn off the phones during shifts and to use them only during breaks, strictly said the person in charge of the shift, entering the operator's office. Yes, Kevin, I remember, Andrew replied guiltily. My mom wrote, I'll answer her later. I'll turn off the phone now. It's good that I don't hear it anymore. I have an order to follow. I hope I made myself clear. Yeah, I got it. Sorry again, Andrew looked at his watch. There were still 6 hours to go, and he hated this miserable routine. The goods came in, the shipment of goods. The computer screen flashed on and on with absolutely meaningless inscriptions that made no sense to him. Andrew, here are the bills of lading for the end of the shift. You need to enter all the data into the database. You can start, said Kevin, putting a whole pile of papers on the table. Okay, everything will be done doomed, Andrew said. How he wished he could really be who he thought he was for a few seconds. It would be enough to get a taste of real life, to feel like a normal person. And that was only possible with money, which neither Andrew nor his family had ever had. Mom worked all her life as a simple technician, where only in their city she did not have to wash floors in schools, and in clinics, and in cafes. But every year it became more and more difficult to find a job. Until she came of age, most of the money went to support her son. But Adriana never worked for fate. She did not hold a grudge against her father Andrew, who who in his time found nothing better than to leave his family and go to earn money in NY, from where he, like many other men, did not return. Adriana hadn't known anything about him since then. It was as if her Sebastian had vanished into time. The last time he had come to the city was when Andriusha was only 10 years old. He spoke enthusiastically about the capital. And even though, like other guest workers, he had to live in a room for 5 people, he fell in love with New York. For the first few years after he left, he honestly came home and brought his wife and son money. Then one day he didn't come. He didn't give any news about himself, didn't write, didn't call. Adriana understood without words. If something had happened to him, she would have been told the man was not a needle. And even in a big city like New York, to disappear just like that, as if to fall through the ground, could not. And he was missing. Only with each passing month, Adriana became more and more convinced of her suspicions. He found another woman with a place to live, with a capital city registration. It was easier than having to toil for the family for at least another 8 years. "Mom, when is Dad coming?" Andrew asked Antonina naively. "It's been so long since he came to us." "Probably busy at work, but he will come." She answered that he would come because she didn't know how to explain to her son why Daddy didn't need them anymore. She couldn't share her hunches and suspicions with him. A year later, Sebastian never showed up. Andrew stopped asking questions. One day, on her way home, she heard her son talking to a friend sitting on a bench in the yard. "Yes, Mike, our dad left us." Adriana heard bits and pieces of the conversation. "Went to NI and never came back. Apparently he got rich and didn't need us anymore." When Andrew noticed his mother with a full bag of groceries, he hurried to her. Mom, why are you heavy?" "Let me help you," shouted Andrew, taking the bags from Adriana's hands. "Son, what are you yelling for? Let's go home," said she. She stroked her son's head affectionately. "Mike, I'm going to go help my mom." "Maybe I'll go out again tonight," yelled Andrew across the yard. "Okay, Sebastian, bye," yelled back at his friend. Already sorting out the groceries in the kitchen, Adriana called her son and sternly told him that they needed to have a serious talk. "About what? What's wrong?" Tense, asked Andrew. "Nothing. I want you to stop gossiping in the yard and spreading ridiculous rumors about your father," said Adriana harshly. "Mom, what rumors?" "What did I say? But it's true. Dad left and never came back. Only his middle name and his house slippers. And now he's gone. And I'm old enough to understand this. You do not need to fool me with a serious look," said Andrew. She had nothing to answer. She could not contradict her son because she realized he was right. But from this his rightness became only more painful. "Andrew, let's make a deal with you. You will no longer talk about Daddy, we will not. Okay, we'll pretend that he was never in our lives. It's like we'll pretend he never left us. We just never knew him. It's like that. And you'll stop gossiping with the boys in the yard about our family's business. You have a lot more to talk about than that, don't you?" "I do." "Mom, I'm so sorry, please." Andrew hugged Adriana tightly, with all his strength pressed against her. How ashamed was he to betray his mother? How awful he had done. In the back of his mind, he knew it clearly. He knew he had no right to, but he couldn't help it. When he saw Emily, it was as if his mind went blank. He couldn't think of anything or anyone but this girl. He wanted her to belong to him alone, and was willing to do anything for that. At that moment, he didn't think about his mother at all. What she would feel when she learned the truth, the rest of the world, except Emily, didn't exist for him. Nor did he think about the consequences that not only he, but his mother would have to face. The rest of the shift flew by like a blink of an eye. Looking at his watch, Andrew saw that it was already 8 o'clock, and it was time to go home. He shut down the computer, gathered his papers in a pile, and went to Kevin's office. "My shift is over." "Data from the waybills down into the database like you asked," he said. "I'm sure it's all in." Kevin squinted. "Sebastian, I've got you watching. I didn't even blink an eye, you know me." "That's it, I've paid it all. Can you check if you don't believe me?" "Okay, I believe it, I'm on it." "Let's do it. Your partner will be here soon." "Yeah, day after tomorrow. Goodbye." Andrew walked out of the dark basement, den their management proudly called an office. A breath of fresh air in the morning after a hard shift at work was just what he needed. He was very tired, and his only dream was to go home and go to bed. But today was not his day. When he got home, he got a very unpleasant surprise. "Here comes the sun. We're coming through, baby." No sooner had Andrew entered the apartment than he heard a rough male voice coming from the kitchen, without taking off his jacket and boots. He immediately went there and saw Adriana sitting on a chair with her hands on her head, and two strong men of dense build in black leather jackets. "So, son, let's talk about," said the skinny-haired man, grinning. "Look, kid, your mother is very upset that she's about to have new neighbors living with her." "Mom, what's going on here?" "Disturbed?" asked Andrew. "How did they get here? Why did you let them in?" "Yes, Mom, why did you let us in?" sarcastically said the second man in a black jacket with thick, black, short-cropped hair. "Answer," Sonny asks. He tugged the woman sharply by the sleeve of her robe. What has caused Andrew's indignation? "What do you think you're doing? Behave yourself." The young man tried to restrain the uninvited guests. "Would you shut up?" The shaven-headed man snapped at him, putting his hands behind Andrew's back. "I warned you, son, and your mother. In a month you won't have any money. Blame yourself. We'll move in with you first." "Oh no, I misspoke. Not to you, but only to my mom. Because half of the apartment by law will belong to us, and then we will sell this half to a whole crowd coming to the hospitable Russian land." Everyone understood. "Waited another minute," he yelled loudly. "I don't hear an answer. Or what are you? You don't understand. I have to explain it again." "Don't," Andrew said quietly. Hearing his reply, they headed down the hallway, and as they approached the door, they said, "We're not saying goodbye until we see you soon." Their smile looked like a grin. Never before in his life had Andrew felt such animal fear. When he returned to the kitchen, he saw his mother sitting at the table in the same pose. She was in deep despair. Andrew touched his hand to her arm and said, "I will explain everything to you now." "There is no need to explain anything," Adriana said quietly. "I saw the contract. They showed me everything. You borrowed a huge sum of money against your share in the apartment. If you don't pay it back in a month, they own your share of the apartment. What's there to explain? It's so clear." "Mom, I have to tell you everything, how it happened, what it's all about. It's important that you know." "My God, what an idiot I am for making you possessive." A mother got up from the table and slapped her son. "You must have raised such a fool." "It's my own fault, though." She slowly led the way into the room. Andrew followed her. "Mom, you have to listen to me," he said. "You can't just go to your room and ignore me, your only son." "Why should I listen to you?" Adriana asked. "What interesting things can you tell me? Where's the money you got from these guys?" "Jesus, I don't even know what to call them." "Gangsters." "They're not gangsters." "Yes, I borrowed money from credit institutions. Yes, against my apartment. But I had no other choice. With my meager salary, no bank would offer me a decent loan. I'm getting married, by the way. Mom, I'm getting married to the girl of my dreams. I wanted us to have a wedding. Just like people, you know. And I was planning on paying back the loan gradually. Part of it's already paid back $1,000. I pay it back every paycheck, little by little. I don't really understand why they came. What month? What are we talking about if the payments are for 3 years? Son, did you read the contract carefully? Apparently not. But I did, down to the last comma. And listen to me. Since you're not smart enough, gradual repayment is only possible without collateral. In a simple loan, you know, which is paid off at the expense of wages and other income, and collateral money is issued for 6 months, after which you must immediately repay the entire amount, because this loan is short-term. Well, or give back what you have pledged as collateral. What's your case? You mean you weren't told that? Yeah, to be honest, I don't remember. When we agreed, I was so happy that I signed the contract immediately, got the money in my account, and ran straight to my beloved. I saw it. The ad said it was for 3 years, secured by property. So I thought the contract would say exactly the same thing. He thought so did the turkey. Jesus Christ, you should have consulted me. Bullshit. What are you gonna do now? You'll either have to go outside or you'll be killed. Have you thought about me? How am I gonna live with these scumbags under the same roof? What's done is done. What's there to be sorry about? You're a fool, son. Did you even think about giving the money back? Mom, I've already explained it to you. I was sure I had 3 years to give, but it turns out I don't. That's the perniciousness of a lack of education. Didn't even read the contract, didn't even see the advertisement. You dope head. I don't even want to hear about your marriage. It is not too fat to be alive, and you're going to get married? I'm already categorically against this wedding. Mom, why is the wedding a week away? My fiancée Emily is a wonderful person, a very beautiful girl. She is beautiful. She's probably some dyed-in-the-wool Crowley who only wants your money. That's not true. She loves me, and I'm sure she does. And on our wedding day, she'll prove it to me. What kind of proof do you expect her to give you? I don't even want to ask. I don't know what to expect from you anymore. Mom, you can't not come to your own son's wedding. Let's stop with these grudges. We'll take care of the apartment. I promise you. I won't be me if I leave it like this. Yeah, well, it's fresh in my mind. Yeah, I find that hard to believe, said Adriana. I feel I'll have to live under the same roof with these criminals, and not to worry. Calm down, Mom, I already know what to do. Andrew said calmly and firmly. In his head was really born an idea, the realization of which could help him to pay off his debts and retain the right to live in the apartment. The plan was too risky, but Andrew had already decided that he would definitely realize it. Whatever it cost him, it would not only solve the apartment problem, but it would also improve his financial situation. Then he wouldn't have to tell Emily the truth. The wedding was a week away. That should have been enough time to get everything sorted out. 5 days later, what do you remember milling around? Squinting incredulously, said the shaven-headed man in the black jacket who had already sat in this kitchen a few days ago and frightened poor Adriana with an unpleasant neighborliness. What would a flawed beggar brother be like? How did you get such a pile of dough in a matter of days? It can't be. As you can see, anything is possible. The money is real. You can check it out. Write a receipt that I don't owe you anything and let's go, Andrew said sternly. Don't be a punk. We almost have the whole town here. If we find out that the money has criminal legs, you're in trouble. You have not only a mom, but also a beautiful fiancée. And we love beautiful women. The shaved-headed winked at his partner. Bro's telling the truth. God forbid we find out what? Your girl will be in trouble. I'll tell you what, / confirmed. All right, let's write him a receipt. And let them go to hell. I don't have time to waste on him. After they left the apartment, worried Adriana asked her son Andriusz, where did you get so much money, and even in such a short time? It's some kind of crime, yes. I'm very worried about you. Mom, calm down, please. Why does it have to be criminal? I asked my friends for help. They didn't refuse me. Andrew answered calmly. Well, you can't tell her the whole truth. She'll go crazy, he thought to himself. I'll go call my fiancé. Today is our last single day. Make it count. We should spend it properly, Andrew said. The penultimate one, to be exact. The wedding is the day after tomorrow, Adriana added. How are you coming? Mom's son. Well, of course I'm coming. How could I miss such an event? I haven't even met your fiancée. But I have high hopes that she won't cheat. She certainly won't cheat on my expectations. She's great. Emily picked up the phone right away. After the first ring, Andrew heard her joyful voice. Hello, my love. I've been waiting for you to call. We'll meet today as agreed. Of course, darling, answered the joyful Andrew. I was just about to discuss the wedding trip with you. How exciting. I'm already burning with curiosity. Where will we go? To a warm, faraway land, I hope. I'm sure we'll choose one. In the urgent departure, he saw the only way out of the situation. Emily does not care where to live at Models Abroad. Even the chances of success and prospects are greater. But I need to urgently get away from the city and the country. And the sooner I do it, the better. As long as no one guessed anything, he thought to himself. Andrew was afraid not only for himself, but also for Emily. What if they do find out where I got the money and keep my word? What if this asshole had something to do with them? Bad thoughts swirled around in his head. When he entered the cafe where they had agreed to meet, Emily was already there. Andrew tried to act natural, but his nerves were taking their toll. He was very scared, and he tried his best to hide it from other people. But it was impossible to hide anything from Emily. As soon as she saw Andrew, she immediately asked, "Something's wrong with your face. It's like you witnessed the end of the world. And now you're afraid to tell me that there are no more people left on Earth except you and me." "Wow, what kind of comparisons?" Andrew exclaimed. Kissed Emily on the neck. "No, I'm actually fine. Just a little business trouble. No big deal." "Aha, but from the looks of you, it's pretty serious. Come on, spill it," demanded Emily. "Yeah, baby. Well, there's nothing to tell. My deputy in New York will decide everything today. I'm just used to things always going too smoothly. So I relaxed. But things don't always work out the way we want them to. I'm sorry. All right then. And we have a holiday the day after tomorrow. The big day of our lives. Let's not talk about sad things. Let's not. So what about the wedding trip? I say we go somewhere far away. Not for a month, but for 6 months. How about that? Why is Emily so tense for so long? Something's up. But you don't want to tell me, do you? What makes you think something happened? Andrew's starting to freak out. I told you, I'm perfectly fine. I'm just really tired and I'd like to rest a little longer. You're not studying or working anyway. Why don't you and I spend 6 months together somewhere abroad? I don't know, Andrew. I have to talk to my mom about it. And don't raise your voice at me. If something's wrong with you, it's not my fault. We're getting married the day after tomorrow, by the way. We're not married yet, and we're already fighting. Okay, sweetheart, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. We just need to decide where we're going. Let's decide after the wedding. I don't see any reason to rush into anything. Or are you late for a fire? Andrew, I refuse to understand what's going on. Emily left the cafeteria in a bad mood. She drove straight home from there and didn't even notice how she was being followed. She didn't care at all. She felt that something was wrong and she really wanted to figure it out. I don't understand his haste either, Cindy said. I share your concerns completely. No, but it's one thing for you to move to New York after the wedding. That I can understand and accept. After all, it's your home country, the capital. Even though it's not close, but you can come home at any time. And abroad you can live there for 6 months. It is already a different language environment, strangers. What if something happens? There's not even normal medicine there, or is it all for a lot of money? What if you're fighting? What then? No, Emily, I'm totally against it. A month on a honeymoon is one thing, but 6 months is another. Mom, that's what I told him. And he got it into his head that we were going. Let's go to the cafeteria. He was ready to order tickets. And he didn't even ask if I had a passport. I did not tell him that I need to make it, because I was sure that the issue of traveling we will decide after the wedding. For the first few months, I planned to live with him in New York, to get acquainted with the city, to take a closer look. What if I don't like it at all? Emily, this whole thing is really freaking me out. Maybe he's done something wrong and now he's fleeing the country, and he wants you involved. Not enough. What could he have done? Think about it. Especially in a foreign city, he doesn't even know anyone here. Just some business partners he came to see. Well, maybe there's something wrong with the business. I don't know, honestly. I can't even imagine what could have happened. Cindy really didn't like the situation. In an instant, Andrew had gone from such an attractive and desirable fiancé to a suspect. Her fears, as well as Emily's premonition, were not in vain. But by the time they realized it, it was too late. The wedding day had arrived. Emily did the limo pull-up, asked Andrew in a cheerful voice, "Look, I haven't seen the hang-up yet. Just a second, I'll look out the window now," replied she. "Yes, I see it standing in the driveway, and it probably has a wait time. We just haven't packed yet. Don't worry, my lovey will wait as long as he needs to." Andrew reassured Emily. "Take your time, pack, Cindy, and calm. I'll be leaving soon too. I'll meet you outside the registry office. You'll see me kiss while the guy hung up the phone and put the tickets in his pocket." There first, and once he's safely there, he can apply for visas to other countries. He has to leave immediately after the wedding. He can't wait for Emily to apply for a passport. It's too long. On the eve of the wedding, they had already discussed this issue. And Andrew was, of course, surprised that Emily does not have a passport. "Even I have one in my heart," Andrew exclaimed. And only after a few seconds he realized that he had almost blurted out. He wanted to say that even a poor man like him has a passport, but he stopped himself in time. "What do you mean, even you? What's so special about you?" Emily asked cautiously. Nothing. I just wanted to say that even a young man like me has a passport." "Well, of course, you are a businessman. You fly everywhere, go to different cities and countries. And what am I? A simple provincial girl. The thought of getting a passport has never even crossed my mind." "You should have. You're not an ordinary girl, you're a model who won the city's biggest beauty contest. And if a contract is offered abroad, what will you do?" "I'll apply for a passport right after the wedding." "Andrew, don't get angry, please." Emily hugged her fiancé tightly, and he hugged her too. "Let's not fight anymore. We leave all the quarrels in the life we had before the wedding. After we start a new life, where there will be only love and mutual understanding." "All right, of course, my love. I really am." And he never thought about getting a passport himself. Why would a beggar need a passport? He never had money to travel abroad. He never even dreamed of it. It was an accident. A former classmate, with whom Andrew was friends even after school. One day he suggested that we all go to Finland. My parents go there all the time, bringing good food, a lot of other things, and inexpensively. Sebastian talked excitedly. How's about their parents' foreign travel experiences? Are they expensive by their standards or by ours? Andrew asked incredulously. Your parents are not poor, not like ours. Come on, but Shenzhen will get any country in Europe you can see. And you can always save up for trips. Sebastian, don't be stupid, and I didn't talk the boys out of it. Come on, my friends, get your passports and let's go see the world. So Andrew got a passport to Finland together with Sebastian, and his buddies. They traveled only a few times. It was really not as expensive as he had imagined, and he could afford it. Not much time had passed since then. It turned out that all this was not with him at all, and as if in another life. Then Andrew could not even think that this passport issued by agreement with a friend would someday save him. Mom, but how long you will dig there? Emily was indignant. The limousine has been waiting for us for almost an hour, and we still can't get ready. The driver must be tired by now. Miranda should be here now and we'll leave right away, Cindy shouted from the room. Is Miranda coming with us? Emily asked, surprised. Of course she is. What did you want? Didn't you ask Nancy and Max to come with us? Cindy asked with the same surprise. What's the limo for? 3 of us. That's ridiculous. Why don't you call your friends? Okay, I'll call them. Emily didn't want Miranda to go with them. These questions, which she liked to use to pass the time wherever she was, pissed Emily off. She genuinely didn't understand how anyone could be so nosy, openly pry, and yet dispense non-core advice. But on her wedding day, Emily was obliged to respect her mother, who, despite her completely opposite character, sincerely loved her friend. Nancy and Max will be here in half an hour, shouted Emily. Look, Mom, I'm already uncomfortable. I'll go downstairs and tell the driver we're running late. But the man's already been waiting for us for an hour and a half. You gotta have a little conscience. Where are you going to go in a wedding dress to go down? Go up, you'll fall down and hibernate. You'll have to change. And we don't have a spare outside dress, Cindy said. Mom, I'm going anyway. I'm not comfortable going downstairs. And it's not human. It's like we all agreed to do it at the same time. Let's do it. Let's do it. Well, go on, or you'll never really settle down. Cindy didn't even realize half an hour had passed. The only thing that finally sobered her up was when the doorbell rang. Who is it? She asked hastily, dropping the movie. It's Nancy and Max. A woman's voice came from behind the door. Cindy immediately opened the door. Now I've been hustling for 5 more minutes. She's doing her best. Look, what were you guys doing up there? Emily's downstairs to tell the driver we're running late. And she's been gone a long time, by the way. I thought she might have stayed up there. I decided not to go up. Could you sit with her in the limo? What limo? Nancy asked in surprise. Well, there's a limo parked out front. That's Emily's fiancé. Andrew paid for it so she and her guests could get to the registry office. We didn't see any limo. Max confirmed it. No, we haven't. Cindy rushed to the window and, not seeing the limousine, immediately started calling her daughter. The caller was unavailable. She immediately dialed Andrew's number and asked if Emily was already at the registry office. No, she hasn't arrived yet. Well, you should all go together. I ordered a limo for you guys. Or did she leave alone? Asked a worried Andrew. I don't understand. She went downstairs to warn the driver that we were running late and didn't come back. I was packing in the meantime. Half an hour later, when we were about to leave the house, no Emily, no limo downstairs. I thought she went to the registry office. Her cell phone's unavailable. Maybe the battery's dead. A wave of worry for her daughter had already overtaken Cindy. Outwardly, she was still trying to hold it together, but deep down her heart was literally bursting with worry. Andrew, why don't you say something? She shouted into the phone what he pretended to be surprised. But in fact, he guessed what might have happened. He was overcome with a terrible fear. But he did not dare to tell Cindy. At that moment, the doorbell rang. Emily's daughter rushed to open the door. Cindy, what's all the noise about a fight? No, Miranda asked in a surprised tone. And Miranda, is that you? Upset, replied Cindy. It's not Emily. The voice of Andrew, whom Cindy had already forgotten. No, it's not Emily. Andrew. We're going to the registry office. If my daughter doesn't show up within half an hour, I'll go to the police, she said and hung up. Cindy, you're not wearing a face, Miranda said. What happened here? Where's Emily? Emily's missing. Pack up, call a cab. Let's go to the registry office. I'll tell you all about it on the way. She had a very bad feeling, and she was right. Come on, let's get our hooves moving. Chu yelled so slowly to the skinny-haired man in the black jacket, dragging Emily along the ground, dragging her dress through the mud. And the girl couldn't even scream in fear because her mouth was taped shut and her hands were tied. He dragged Emily into some abandoned house, threw her on the cold stones. So the girl hurt her leg and almost twisted her arm, then found a misdemeanor to which he started duct taping her hands. Now we're going to call our wife, the man said snidely. Let's see if he will be ready for you, so beautiful to give half of his halupa. What were you thinking, stealing money from your boss's safe to pay off your debts? You idiot. Did he really think no one would find out? There's cameras everywhere. What a gray, uneducated lot. Emily did not understand what was happening, and it made her even more afraid. What money? Who stole it? Why would a rich and wealthy person steal money? She thought to herself. At that moment, it had not even entered her head that Andrew might be lying. But Cindy, on the contrary, if not about everything, then about a lot of guesses, when she drove up to the registry office, immediately ran up to Andrew and began to shake him by the chest. Where is my daughter? She yelled at the young man. What happened to her? Is this all your fault? Woman, what do you think you're doing? Take your hands off my son. Adriana intervened. Here comes the groom's mom. Nice to meet you. You must have come all the way from New York to attend the gala, Cindy asked Riley. What New York, son? What's that woman talking about? What's going on? I don't understand. Can you explain it to me? Adriana asked her son excitedly. At that moment, the phone rang. Not a second too soon. Andrew picked up the phone. Yes, hello, I'm listening, go ahead. Andrew shouted into the receiver. What's up, asshole? Come and get your girl, only with money and not particularly late. And houses aren't ironclad either. And she's so beautiful, all dressed up in Snow White. Well, almost Snow White dress. Oh, if it weren't for the mud she got into while I was dragging her here. What happened? Andrew asked excitedly. Where's Emily? What have you done to her? Well, speak up finally. We have Emily. And as long as we haven't done anything to her, don't worry, Bring the money, don't spoil your bride. Well, if you do, you're on your own. But I don't have that kind of money right now. I have to sell the apartment, then I'll give you everything. If you want, I'll sign over my share to you. No, darling, your share is no longer of interest to us. Bring the money. We'll give the bride away. We'll give you exactly 3 days. You're the master of getting large sums of money in a short time, so I'll show us my skills. Anyway, we're waiting. When you're ready, call this number. I'll tell you where to go, and don't go running to the police, or we'll have your fiancé. You know what I mean. There were short beeps on the other end of the line. Andrew put the phone in his pocket and silently looked at Cindy and Natalia Alexandrovna, whose mouths opened in amazement. So it turns out you tried to mumble Cindy. I'll explain everything to you later. There's no time now. Andrew said quietly. We've got to get Emily out of here. So said Miranda in a commanding tone. You've already shown your true colors. You're such a liar. Now we're going to figure out what to do. You go to your mom and get the hell out of here. Otherwise, I can't take care of myself. We have money. Nancy said, It's true, we've saved a little for the house, but that's just the way it is. The important thing now is to help. Get her away from those thugs, and the rest is not important. I'll make it up to you. Hey you. Miranda Andrew yelled, How much money they want and give me their phone number. Andrew handed the woman the phone he had just used. Here's the last incoming call, he said. And they want $1,500,000 in cash. Jesus, what kind of beggar are you? You're a pauper. $1,500,000 cash. Probably spent it all on a rented car, a house, and ponchos. To make our blades look good on a ragamuffin. Well, we got that kind of money, Nancy said. Max, you don't mind if we help Emily? Nancy, what are we talking about? Of course I don't mind. True, it's all our savings, but that's okay. Life is more precious, replied the young man to Nancy. Max, listen to me, said the sharply recovered Cindy. I'll give you every last dime, won't I? We'll sell our apartment and buy a smaller one. And we'll give you the difference, I promise. Cindy, calm down, Max said. The important thing now is to save Emily. But we need someone to come with us to back us up. You could ask my dad, said Nancy. He's got a friend. He used to be a bodyguard for a local businessman. Then he worked in New York for 5 years, still in security. I'm calling Nastya, but they're all at work. We can't wait till tonight. We have to go to the bank to get the money and go straight to Emily's rescue. I don't know what they will do to her in the meantime. Max said excitedly. But work? It's Saturday. What are you talking about? Shit. It turns out banks don't work, they do. Why would they not work? Max, you're such an alarmist. Let's go to the bank first, then to my dad's. Miranda. Cindy, a cab will be here in 5 minutes. I've called, we'll go to the bank, and then to my dad's. He's going to ask a friend, he's insuring us. All this time, Andrew continued to stand outside the registry office with a blank stare. Well, son. Interrogated. Evil. Asked Adriana. Got it. I can't clean it up now. I'll still have to explain myself to her. Mom. Quietly answered the boy. Who do you have to explain yourself to? Who? Solid. Do you realize that with your stupid and ridiculous antics you just robbed her family of $1,500,000? It may not be a lot of money to some people, but it's a lot of money. Andrew, did you follow them? As this woman right here said, for the rental car, for the house, for gifts, for Ponzi schemes. I almost got in trouble myself. I was set up by Emily. How'd you set her up? Poor girl. I can't imagine what she's been through. She'll never want to see you again. And by the way, she'd be absolutely right. Let's get out of here. We can take the bus home. She took her son under her arm and led him away from the registry office. He felt guilty, but there was nothing he could do. It was too late. It had already happened. What do you mean you can't give out money on the day you apply? Nancy was indignant. How long do we have to wait? Young lady, why are you shouting? The disgruntled bank teller answered her, This isn't New York. We're a small town. We don't dispense cash right away. Even in the application of the bank, There is a warning that on the day of application we can give no more than 500,000 if the bank is overloaded. And today is Saturday, it is overloaded. We'll be able to issue it tomorrow. Fill out the application. What a village. Nancy said quietly to herself. If you don't like our village, get the hell out of here. The cashier poked at her. So much for the FIFA of the city. After filling out the application, Nancy walked over to Cindy, Max, and Miranda. There's nothing we can do today. We have to go to my father and explain the situation to him, she said. God, my poor girl muttered to Cindy. Calm down, please. Everything will be all right. I've already called my dad. He's waiting for us at home. Nancy took Cindy's hand and together they walked outside. This day, which not long ago should have been the happiest day of Emily's life, had taken forever. Cindy was not thinking straight and didn't even remember how they pulled up to the walls of the house. They went inside and sat talking over a cup of hot tea. Dad, well, that's kind of the situation. Nancy said at the end of her story, can you help with the insurance? Daughter, you can't give them the money under any circumstances. I'll take a couple of guys with me. We'll take them there and then turn them over to the police. We'll give the bastards the full ride. I guarantee it. Daddy, what are you doing? Nancy exclaimed fearfully. What if they kill Emily or do something to her? No, Daddy, we can't take that risk. Calm down, daughter. But I've been around for years. It's gonna be okay. I promise you. Do you believe me? Nancy nodded and hugged her father tightly. Thank you so much. You're the best in the world. Oh, come on. I'm very happy to have raised such a kind and sympathetic daughter. If I were you, I'd just leave the wedding. But who are you, Emily? Not even a close friend. And you're helpful, supportive, and even willing to donate your own money. You're very kind. My girl, I'm proud of you. The friend arrived half an hour later and immediately called the skinhead to make an appointment to make sure Emily was okay. He asked to be put on the phone for her. Either right now you let me talk to Emily, or no money tomorrow, he said stiffly. Okay, fine. I'm going to hand the phone to your girl Freer. Proxy. Holy shit. What a bunch of poor businessmen we got here. I can't believe it. Walked up to Emily and pushed her in the side to wake up the skinheads, and looked her straight in the eye and said so dull. Listen up. I'm going to give the phone to your Thragers confident now. Tomorrow he has to give us the dough for you. Just try to yell. You're gonna tell me you're all right. That's the truth. I'm not making you lie. At the glass, the skinhead grabbed Emily by the back of the head. She wanted to scream in pain but couldn't. Her mouth was taped shut. I got it all. I'll tell you everything, screamed pitifully. She did as he removed the tape. Here the skinheads sent the tube straight to Emily's ear. You have exactly 1 minute, he said. Mommy, I'm okay. Would you please put Mommy on the phone, Emily said. She tried to make her voice sound confident. The fear was slowly fading into the background. After this call, she was sure that she would be rescued. Now there was no doubt about it. My daughter, you're all right. You didn't get beaten, Cindy tearfully mumbled into the phone. It's okay. Mommy, don't worry. I'll be home soon. Thank you. Thank you, all of you who cared about me, Emily said. She guessed someone was helping her mother. There was no way in hell she would have gone after those thugs on her own. And they never had that kind of money. A second later, the skinheads snatched the phone out of Emily's hands and ducked, taped her mouth shut again. The meeting was set for early tomorrow morning. Having finally agreed on all the terms, friend hung up the phone. That night was the longest night of Cindy's life. It seemed to her that it would never end, and that time was passing too slowly. Jesus, daughter, are you all right? Asked Cindy, hugging Emily. Both of them were crying as they sat in the car, and watching as the police officers put the shaven-headed thug into the special car. Emily was still wearing her wedding dress. It was all dirty and already completely ugly. Yes, Mom, I'm all right. I'd really like to go home and wash and change. Well, I told you everything would be all right. Daddy will decide, Nancy said. And you were afraid and doubtful. Yeah, they had them fooled. They wouldn't have known they were in for such a trick. They just didn't have the brains. Max said proudly, let's go home, shall we? They drove off, and Emily cried the whole way. She couldn't hold back her tears. She was so bitter that she didn't want to live. When they got home, she went straight to the shower to wash off all the dirt of the previous days. And when she got to the kitchen, Cindy was already waiting for her with hot tea and pancakes. "Emily, don't be upset," she said. "It's okay, it's no big deal. The main thing is that you didn't get hurt and everything ended well." "Mom, I can't understand why he lied to me," she asked. "Why would you lie so stupidly and unscrupulously? The truth would have come out anyway. It's not like he could take out loans all his life to rent cars and pay for my house and pretend he was such a rich macho guy. He just wouldn't have enough money for that. But the fact that he stole the keys to his boss's safe and cleaned it out is no comment at all. I think he's going away for a long time." "Emily, but don't you love him at all?" Cindy asked. "Mom, what love is that? What are you talking about? Forgetting all this? Like it was a bad dream." Waved the girl away. "He set me up for something like this. Can you imagine what could have happened to me if it hadn't been for Nastia's father, if it hadn't been for you? It's scary to even think about it. Okay, I don't even want to talk about it." I went to bed. The next day, Emily was awakened by the doorbell. Cindy rushed to open it. It was Andrew knocking on her daughter's room. She asked Emily, "Your ex-fiancé is there. He said he really wants to talk. Should I let him in?" "Okay, let him sit in the kitchen. I'll go out all by myself now," the girl replied. Emily did not want to see him, but she needed to dot all the I's in their relationship. "High tea, I do not offer, you understand?" Carelessly, she said, "Let's say quickly what you want." Emily, first of all, to apologize for everything that happened, began the conversation. "Andrew, also to tell you that I love you very much. Everything I did was for you, for me." "What exactly about the gangbangers? Did you get involved for me? Or what did you do for me? Leased a fancy car on credit cards? Lying. What of it? Without all that, you wouldn't have even looked at me. You're a model local star. What am I? Just a cameraman. You're right about that. Any words of love you ever heard from me, you can forget it. I was talking to a millionaire, not the local beggar. Of course, a girl like me would never look in your direction. But if you knew that right away, what was the point of all that drama? Or did you think that you'd marry me and then you'd get on with it? That's ridiculous. I'd have found out the truth and divorced you right away. What did you expect? I don't understand. I thought we had serious feelings, that's all. You won't need all this superficial, pretentious stuff. You'd understand me and accept me for who I am. So you only like guys for the money. What does money have to do with it? It's not about money. I mean, how would you and I live? Where would we live? Think about it. I don't want to spend the rest of my life in this dump. I'm supposed to get a contract. I'm gonna go to New York, get a career. Why would I want to spend my life with a lowlife and jeopardize my career? Okay, I hear you. I'm sorry again for what you've been through, and goodbye." He left the apartment without closing the door or even saying goodbye to Cindy. "What's up?" the mother asked her daughter. We talked. I can't see him." "Freak," muttered Emily. "I'm gonna go see if there are any contracts for me. I want to get out of this town." "I can't. Moms can't. Miranda's coming over. We agreed she'd come over to my house tonight, so she could come visit you afterwards." "Oh God, she's just what we need." Emily shook her hands indignantly. "Okay, Mom, I'm going to go pack. You're going to have to deal with this on your own. I don't want to listen to her sighs. Don't forget to thank Nastia and Max. It's embarrassing. In fact, they're the ones who helped you. And Nancy's father was instrumental in catching those thugs. They were willing to pay a lot of money for you. Yes, Mom, of course, Nancy. With Max, I'll thank them again. I'll only apologize to them today, in case they're not home." Never in her life had Emily felt so devastated and morally destroyed. How could he? Such astonishing impudence to pretend to be rich for the sake of marrying me. I can only imagine what a disgrace that marriage would be to me. The city's first beauty married to a beggar. She thought to herself, Emily, actually, of course, is not very right. Nancy tried to explain to the girl how she saw the situation. Emily was forced to listen to her because it was Nancy who agreed to pay for her rescue, and involved her father in solving the situation. So where do you think I'm wrong? Emily asked in a carefully polite tone. But he's really screwed up for putting on this whole masquerade. Allegedly, he's rich, took a loan, rented an expensive car, all that stuff. But on the other hand, you didn't love him at all. You dated him for the money. And it was hard to understand Emily. She grew up in a wealthy family her whole life. Her father didn't drink, didn't go out, but always worked and brought money into the house. She and her mother had never known need for anything. Emily could only dream of such a paradisical life, and she never had half of what Nastya had. She was always jealous of her, but she hid it. Nastya, you can't understand me. Emily tried to carefully explain her position, so as not to hurt not only her friend, but also the person who saved her. What are my prospects in life, except for a modeling career and a profitable marriage? Think about it. Youth will pass, beauty will fade. With a rich husband, at least I can start my own business. And so what will I do, Emily? There's plenty of things for a girl to do in the modern world. And design. I live here, but I work in a lot of cities. I'm working on my reputation at the same time. In 10 years, I'll be an established businesswoman. Although my father didn't give me any money for that at all. He didn't believe that I could make something good out of it. Who's stopping you? The conversation was going in the wrong direction. Emily has already made up her mind. She'd sign any contract she was offered and go to work in New York. She had no prospects in this city, and she did not want to stay here. A week later, the matter was settled. Mom, we have to get ready. I'm leaving in 2 days, Emily said to Rina Sergeyevna in a calm and cold tone. Oh, my daughter. Good luck to you. Break a leg. Cindy sighed heavily. She didn't want Emily to go anywhere. I'll help you pack your things. You better get some rest before you go. Yeah, I guess you're right. 2 days later, Emily signed the contract and flew to New York. She was sure that there was a whole new life waiting for her there, full of interesting events, social events, and adventures. A bright and busy life, but it only seemed that way to her. She realized it only with time. No, Moscow life did not disappoint her. But it turned out to be completely different from what Emily had imagined it to be. 5 years later, Emily, but at least you'll come to say goodbye, asked Cindy on the phone in a worried voice. I don't know yet, Mom answered Emily nonchalantly. Look, but I'll come back. It's like we're breaking up forever. Oh, Emily, maybe you'll think again. Why do you need Europe? You've got a great career here. You can do something else later. Mom, what great career? I'm already 24 years old, and such models are considered old here in our country. I'll start a new life in Europe. I could be on the catwalk for at least 5 more years, if not longer, and then I could marry some lord. People only start families at 35, so I'm just in time. Cindy didn't like the idea of an overseas contract, but she couldn't change her daughter's mind. Emily had already been living in New York for 5 years, and she didn't depend on anyone. She made all the decisions herself and was responsible for them. During these years, she was able to achieve tremendous success. She was regularly offered advertising contracts. She was constantly appearing on the covers of leading magazines. But this was not enough for her. She was striving for greater achievements and had long ago not taken seriously the advice of her mother, who constantly reminded her to be more cautious and careful. Andrew had gotten out of prison a month ago. The warden had filed a theft report then. But Emily was not at all interested in the fate of her ex-fiancé. Big deal, she said, when her mother told her about Andrew on the phone. He hadn't gotten enough. The judge had been kind, took pity on the fool, and he had no choice but to go home and live on his mother's pension. When they found out what he was in jail for, they refused to even talk to him. Mom, you realize that I will never live in this city again. He explained to Adriana after another failed job interview. I'm all stigmatized. As soon as he hears that he was in jail for stealing, and even from the bosses, he's out the door. Son, maybe we should not specify what kind of theft you were in jail for? Sadly asked Adriana. What's the point? They'll find out anyway. It's a small town. Let's move, son. You think that's gonna help? A criminal record is a cross. You can't have a career anymore unless you start your own business. And I don't have the money for that. How about some private services? You're good with electricity, plumbing, that's the idea. By the way, good for you? Mom thanks. After a while, Andrew began to earn a good income for their town for providing private services. He solved problems with appliances with electricity, and in time he discovered his talent as a repairman. Clients were not interested in his background. It was important to them that their homes and apartments were cozy and beautiful. Andrew coped with this task very successfully. A year later, he met a girl, Molly, at whom he was making repairs. They did not notice how they moved from general topics to personal ones. And after a while, he could not imagine his life without hope. Adriana was genuinely happy for her son. Then, after everything that had happened to Emily, when he was sent to prison, she thought that his life was over and nothing good would ever happen again. She even had that terrible thought in her mind that he would never get out of prison, would die right there because he couldn't stand such an ordeal. But everything, thank God, was bypassed. For the first few years after the breakup, Andrew longed for Emily. He was insanely offended that she refused him as soon as she found out that in fact he is not a rich man, and the son of a simple cleaning lady and a poor provincial. But in time the resentment passed, and the feeling gradually faded away. So it went on until they disappeared altogether. At that moment, Andrew felt completely free. They were originally two different people. They could not have a future together. Emily dreamed of wealth and an idle life. Andrew could never give her all that. She didn't think of him either. Emily considered Andrew the main mistake in her life and thanked fate that the truth was revealed in time, and she did not have time to become his wife. Emily's life abroad was successful. She worked under a contract, which she concluded back in New York. She acted in movies and regularly appeared on television. After 3 years of living abroad, she met and married a mature and respectable foreigner. It was the life of her dreams, a life she would not trade for any other. She was far from her past, from her small town, from Andrew and even her mom and friends. And with each passing day, Emily became more and more distant. There was no changing that, and there was no reason to. Each person has his own destiny, and everyone in this life is happy in his own way.